This is the Game of Thrones of naughties teen coming-of-age sex comedies. There's a reason that sounds awful. Oh gosh, the current random, unnecessary nostalgia for the early noughties has spread to the equally really unnecessary two guys in high school screaming about desperately trying to get some poos for an hour-and-a-half subgenre, which ironically should have stayed in the noughties. Why? Y2K is about a kid on New Year's Eve, 1999. He likes a girl, but she's unattainable and surrounded by dickheads, and she seems really nice, but she's surrounded by all these people who do horrible things, so how nice could she really be? Anyway, and he's got a best friend. He's overweight, he's overconfident, he's kind of just an asshole. Like, he really proves himself in the opening, like, 10 minutes to not be that great a guy, and yet he hangs around with him anyway, and it's very unclear why. And together they go to this party, and everything just seems like it's going to go along at the horrible, awful pace of an early 2000s teen sex comedy until it hits midnight. Suddenly the machines take over the world and everything changes, and what follows is, from there, one of the funniest sequences of the year. You got drills on wheels coming for folks, a guy literally getting his dick blended, ceiling fans through heads, the guy that gets his head just boom by a flamethrower, the guy that tries to do a skateboard trick and just cracks his neck and dies. Nothing to do with the machines. Like, there is so much blood and carnage that, like, 20 minutes or so of the film, incredible. Unfortunately, it wasn't remotely interesting before that, and it's not nearly as good as that 20 minutes afterwards. Now, don't mistake that for me saying this sucks completely, because what you're left with is this kind of fun pseudo-breakfast club scenario. The jock got eaten by a dishwasher, but there's definitely a princess and a brie, and they're just the same person. Rachel Zegler being that talented, that beloved, that pretty, and the smartest person at school is how you can tell this is a movie instead of real life. Anyway, they literally meet the lead singer of Limp Bizkit, because that's how 90s this film is, and then they go on a fun little adventure, which essentially consists of let's go to the old factory because there's no machines there, and then let's go to the school where all the machines are because the film needs a finale. It is kind of like Teenage Mitchells versus the Machines in live action, if it just wasn't as good as Mitchells versus the Machines. Y2K is the sort of thing that looks like it will be stupid but sort of fun, and then it is... I mean, it just has no idea what it wants to be. It feels like the kid at a party who doesn't really want to be there but is pressured into drinking and doing drugs and crazy shit, because it just feels forced when it's trying to do some of that extra weird stuff. It doesn't need to be in there. And I can't tell where the line is, where the writing, like, cringily and writing badly on purpose ends, and just it being bad begins. And that's not a good thing. That said, this film is worth quite a few laughs, you know, for everybody screaming, "You suck at Fred Durst." Shitney Spears was funny. But it's just, this film is such a random hellscape. She puts a condom on her hand to stop the computer virus in the grand finale. Like, what are you doing? And that's the kind of thing that's really funny on a storyboard, being kicked around with a hacky sack by a few white guys with dreadlocks, who this film does a lot for, by the way. But it shouldn't be an actual thing. The predictability, the weird cross between teen sex movie and disaster film, the lack of any real stakes or caring for 99% of the people who died, like, it's this really weird thing that I found hilarious for individual moments, but just spent the majority of the runtime kind of going like, ugh. Like, the best 20 minutes is the end of the first act, you know? So after that, there is just a lot of me sitting there going, eh. So I'm giving Y2K 2.5 stars. You just have to accept at some point that watching two teenage boys talk about getting some bitches, it's just the worst, cringiest thing imaginable. And I guess it's often kind of meant to be when they make these films, but I just don't think there's a place for just even making fun of it anymore. I think it's just so played out and done that it's just, it's come around from being sad to charming and back to sad now. Subscribe for more hard truths.